Alrighty, that's about enough time. Hope you guys got the program up and running. Thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Some of you are here for the fifth time for this Kelly and Peacock webinar series. We definitely have covered every bit of Kenya, but this webinar, we wanted to switch it up a little bit, especially with everything that's going on in the world right now. With the pandemic and everything. So I wanted Kath, I rushed her for this one. So I'm really thankful that she did something so quickly for us. But I just wanted to highlight the future of safaris. And I know that a lot of your guests are probably concerned with safety or protocols or just different elements that companies are implementing and what the future of safaris looks like. So that's what we'll be focusing on today. My name is Jessie Bly. I work for Emerging Destinations. We represent cool companies and cool places. Take a second to jot my information down. It's Jessie at emergingdestinations.com. If you'd like any digital material, if you'd like to offer a private webinar to you and your team, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. This is me. I just wanted to put something up that's relatable. It's a little baby leopard tortoise in Loistaba on safari. So Jessie at emergingdestinations.com, please reach out to me. Before I hand everything over to Kath, I just want to briefly review the Emerging Destinations portfolio. Hopefully you're familiar with some of these companies. So not only do we have the pleasure of working with Kelly and Peacock Safaris in Kenya and Tanzania, we also represent their sister companies, the Elawana Collection and Sky Safari by the Elawana Collection. And speaking of private safaris, Sky Safari has just announced that it will be doing a full buyout option. So you can actually buy out the entire plane if your guests are weary of traveling with other people. Back to the portfolio, our South America portfolio consists of Terra Nova in Costa Rica, the Guyana Tourism Authority, Hotel Las Torres and Fantastico Sur in Patagonia, Cruz Andino in the Lake District of Patagonia, Jungle Experiences on the Peruvian Amazon, and then Grand Hotels Lux in Argentina and Uruguay. Our polar portfolio consists of Adventure Canada, Iceland Pro Cruises, and Iceland Pro Travel. And I can't forget I left out Eco Training in South Africa and Adventure Consults in Uganda and Rwanda. So again, if you have any questions or would like to deep dive into any of these companies, please feel free to reach out. You can also go to the Emerging Destinations website, and under our webinar tab, you can view webinars on almost all of these companies. We have up-to-date information and recordings available. So without further ado, I'm going to hand everything over to Kath, who is going to be taking us through our exclusive, bespoke, and private, the future of safaris.
Hi, everyone, and thank you, Jessie. Welcome to our exclusive, bespoke, private, the future of safaris webinar, one that I'm personally very excited about. Just a little bit about me. My name is Kathleen Leonard. I'm the product manager for Kelly and Peacock Safaris. And before the pandemic, and hopefully after, my job is incredible. I get to go and experience all of the areas and properties and the experiences and make sure that they are up to scratch and perfect for your guests. Those are my contact details. So if you ever want to get in touch, ask me any questions, I am here. A little bit about Kelly and Peacock Safaris. We are a destination management company, started in Kenya. We now have an office in Nairobi in Kenya and in Arusha in Tanzania. We also operate safaris in Uganda and Rwanda. So for 35 years, we've been operating exclusive bespoke safaris. We believe in an intimate safari experience where you see wildlife and not vehicles. And we partner with properties throughout East Africa that provide this to us. So I'm going to go back to the tradition of safari, because I think one of the most beautiful things about safaris is the traditions that have carried on from the pioneers of the East African safari. So that is endless wildlife, endless wildernesses, and exclusivity. So the feeling that it's just you, no other humans, and the wilderness to yourself. And it just so happens that the traditions of safari, even dating back from then, are very well suited to post-COVID travel. We partner, as I mentioned, with numerous partners throughout East Africa, and we strive to ensure that all of our partners offer exclusivity to our guests. We like guests to feel privacy in their accommodations. We use camps and lodges that preferably are under a maximum of 15 rooms, if that. They have activities that are exclusive, not big crowds, and where guests have a very intimate safari experience. So all of those aspects do lend themselves well to post-COVID travel, but there are, of course, elements that we do need to look at with regards to safaris going forward. And I just wanted to run you through those a little bit. From the start of a safari, so arriving at the airport, we do recommend that guests apply online for e-visas. This limits your interaction with people in the airport. It also reduces your time spent standing in line and touching pens, filling out forms, etc. We also recommend that you book a meet and greet service. These are available at all the major airports, Jomo Kenyatta, JRO, Dar es Salaam. This is just an assisted sort of fast tracking through immigration. The representative also will pick up your luggage for you, so it just reduces your interaction with people and touching things, basically. All of our transfer vehicles are private use, so you will only be traveling with the people that you came with. You will never mix groups together. This goes for our safari vehicles in Tanzania, where we operate road safaris. Our representatives will also be kitted out with hand sanitizer for your use and also masks for your use, but we do recommend that your guests come to East Africa with their government regulated recommended PPE. Moving on from that to flights, usually in Kenya we operate flying safaris, Tanzania flying and road. Rwanda and Uganda are a mix of both. What we're seeing with scheduled flights are the providers are limiting the maximum amount of passengers on the planes, just to ensure as much social distancing as possible. So now caravans have gone down to 8 packs. Only groups flying together will be allowed to fill a plane. Traveling together. So if you're flying with a family or a group, you can use the entire plane. Our providers are also asking for guests to not sit next to each other if they're not traveling together, so a 1-seat distance between each other. The pilot will also be wearing a mask throughout the flight and will conduct a safety briefing before takeoff, as usual, but a post-COVID travel safety briefing. With regards to our accommodation suppliers, we have been receiving numerous SARA post-COVID procedures. They are in line with the WHO regulations. However, these are all changing at all times, so we are keeping a track of all of these, and we do send out newsletters with regards to all of our supplier policies, etc., and our recommendations. So if you would like, please let Jessie or myself know, and we can add you to our database. Anyway, I digress. The accommodations, we're seeing people, our providers going with 1 housekeeper per tent to do deep cleans. This limits the interaction with the guests and the amount of people in the rooms. Rooms are being deep cleaned thoroughly between each guest staying in them. We are seeing a lot of the dining service changing quite substantially. No buffets anymore and no communal dining. The majority of properties are now going to be plating either in front of the guest or plating with staff wearing full PPE to ensure that there is no contamination. Moving on to game vehicles, the maximum capacity for game vehicles has changed slightly. The majority of properties are either doing 6 or 4 packs maximum. Majority are 4-packs of guests that aren't traveling together. So if you have 2 couples, they will be sharing a vehicle. In the case of groups traveling together, they can use the same vehicle, but the seat next to the driver will always be free. Sorry, the safari guide will always be free, just to ensure that there is no social distancing problems. The safari guide will also be wearing a mask at all times, and it's up to the guests whether they would like to wear a mask or not, as the majority of the vehicles are open air, so there is a free flow of air, so it's not a huge concern. With regards to the binoculars and the safari guide books that are usually in vehicles, these will not be available for guests' use, so it is advised that your guests bring their own binoculars if they would like to use them during their trip. Looking at activities, the majority of properties now are limiting the number of people on activities, obviously making them personal, so not mixing groups. And also the communal activities and community-based activities have been stopped so far. We will of course update you when they are open again. Some good news in regards to terms and conditions with booking and cancellation terms. We are seeing a lot of leniency from our suppliers. This is also mentioned in our mails that go out. So reduced cancellation terms, flexible booking conditions, and reduction of deposit requirements as well, which is a very positive thing as we all try to rejuvenate safaris and tourism as a whole. So moving on to private safaris. People normally ask, well, who are private safaris for? There is sort of, people tend to think that private safaris are extremely high budget and very niche. And yes, they do come at a slightly higher price, but there are many options that would result in finding the perfect exclusive safari for even couples. And hopefully I can shed some light on that for you. But also there are the fantastic charter flights, helicopters, private villa safaris that everyone loves. So I would say private safaris are mainly for groups, small groups, multi-generational families. Those are the traditional ones, and then also we'll look into smaller families and couples. So why private safaris? Going back to the traditional safari and our aim to keep those traditions alive, there is absolutely nothing better than being out there, seemingly alone, and having the wilderness to yourself. And that is what a private safari is all about. Not seeing other people, not seeing other vehicles, and having your own wilderness. The exceptional experiences available on private safaris, I mean, they're just, you're by yourself, you can do what you want when you want it. They are tailored completely to your specifications, and it is basically, the wilderness is yours. I will keep saying that, and I apologize, but that is essentially what private safaris are about. Also, private guided safaris. We do recommend private guides accompanying people on private safaris. It just brings a continuity to the safari. Every area that they go, the guide knows what they like, they know what they've seen, they know if they're birders or if they are looking to see kills, or, you know, it's just, it tailors it that step further. Guides also are able to provide exceptional experiences with regards to their connections. So whether you want to go walking with Richard Moller and the big tuskers in Amboseli, Otsaro even, sorry, and you would like to join the Mara Elephant Project for a collaring experience, the guides will assist with that. Moving on to charter flights, when we're talking about post-COVID travel, this is the best option by far. You can depart as soon as you land in a major airport in either Kenya or Tanzania, Rwanda, Uganda. You don't have to transfer through a city. You don't have to stay in this city. You don't have to go through another airport. You hop off your plane go straight onto your charter flight and hop off on safari. So it definitely reduces your interaction with people and your time spent in densely populated areas. In addition to this, it's also a lot faster and a lot more convenient. We do have fixed wing planes available in East Africa, mainly caravans. We have some Twin Otters and some King Airs. Also in Kenya and Tanzania, we have Pilatus PC-12s, which are very luxurious planes, very fast, and they offer transport for a maximum of 8 guests. There is also a helicopter option that is mainly in Kenya and partially in Rwanda. This is incredibly fun and is available from Nairobi, but it's obviously limited to a less amount of packs than planes, but it is an awesome way of seeing the scenery. Exclusive use vehicles, obviously on a private safari, you will have the vehicle and a safari guide to yourself. So again, it's completely tailored to what you want to do. If you want to go out all day, you can. If you want to leave at 5 in the morning, you can. If you want to lie in and only go out for an hour, you can. It's totally up to you. It's your safari. Of course, one of the highlights is the incredible accommodation that we have available in East Africa. We do have beautiful offerings in Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda. Uganda, there are a few. However, I won't be covering them in this webinar. Maybe we can plan another one. The Uganda accommodation is not, the private accommodation is not quite up to the standards of the other East African countries. Anyway, moving on. So this, the private accommodation ranges, we will start with exclusive wildernesses. So that is the hiring of a property, but it is on its own conservancy. So essentially, your group is renting out the property and the whole conservancy. This is Oljogi, pictured here. So you won't see another vehicle that isn't sort of part of the properties. You won't see other guests. You won't interact with other guests. And it is completely yours to do as you wish. You have exclusive villas and exclusive use properties. Throughout Kenya and Tanzania, there are incredible exclusive use safari villas. This is Arijiju on Barana Conservancy. These properties usually are on conservancies that do have other properties on them. However, they're very limited numbers of properties on them. So it's very unlikely for you to see another vehicle. You have your own safari guide, your own vehicles, your own staff. And again, it's completely tailored to what you want to do. You can do as much or as little as you want. The exclusive use properties would be smaller sized camps that you could take out on exclusive use basis. Those are camps with 4 or 5 tents, let's say Ngara Serian in the Masai Mara. So you take it over as a group and it becomes your exclusive use property. And my personal favorite, private mobile tented camps. The camp is set up ahead of your arrival, obviously, but it is extremely luxurious. They set them up on beautiful campsites where there is no human activity. So the wildlife is very, very free roaming around you. I mean, I stayed in one and an elephant was eating doom palm fruit from just above the tent all night. It's incredible. It does give you a traditional safari experience as the pioneers used to do, but we do offer flush toilets, running showers, so you do have all the mod cons that you would like to have, well, in today's world. These are available in numerous destinations throughout Kenya and Tanzania. Now, also I spoke about the more budget-friendly private options. Numerous properties have areas in which they have sort of allocated separate areas for private use. This is Elawana Loisaba tented camp in a little area called Little Loisaba. It's 3 tents and a swimming pool and a dining area that is exclusive use for those taking it. This is slightly higher than staying at in the normal areas, normally in the normal tents of the camp. However, it does offer your own access, your own vehicles, and numerous properties have done this as an option for, let's say, a multi-generational family traveling together that want to be private, but also want to have an exclusive, but also are looking after that off the budget. The other option is exclusive safaris within properties. So there are numerous properties that offer exclusive use of vehicle per room and your own guide, your own butler. So it is essentially like staying in your own property. However, you are on a property with other rooms in it. You can interact with other guests, or you can choose not to. You can have all your meals either on the decking of your room, or you can plan little bush meals or sundowners, or you can have as much interaction as you want, or stay in your room and enjoy the wilderness by yourself. This is a really good option for couples who would like exclusivity. So the way I like to look at private safaris is you start with what the guests are looking to do. So you start with the experience, and then the accommodation comes second. Obviously, the accommodation then is based on budget and how many people are joining. But I didn't want to do any of these areas a disservice by narrowing down on one accommodation option. So I'm going to take you through Laikipia, Mara, and Diani. I think that's a brilliant combination because you get adventure, wilderness, and relaxation. So Laikipia has some exceptional safari experiences, and coupled with unbelievable exclusive use properties and villas and conservancies, as we saw in Old Jogi. Up here, I would go for 3 days. There are so many activities that you can experience: rhino tracking, lion tracking, unreal helicopter excursions that you could do up Mount Kenya. You go up to Lake Turkana and the Sukuta Valley. It's like a safari adventurous dream. It's really, really incredible, and the conservation experiences are also amazing. So these are some accommodation options. As you'll see, there's lots of exclusive use villas, absolutely amazing and luxurious. These range from accommodating 6 people to up to 16 people. So it's suitable for a wide range of groups. There's also a lot of exclusivity within properties available here, with private villas in properties and a little Loisava, as I mentioned before, so sections of a property that people can rent out exclusively. And the Masai Mara, obviously, we just did a webinar on it before. It's incredible wildlife and an unbeatable experience. There are limited amounts of exclusive use villas, I would say, in the Masai Mara, but there are these numerous options. So exclusive use is Cottage Bush Villa, which is on Older Kessie Conservancy. So it's a very exclusive conservancy of only 3 properties, well, 2 cotters and then a different one, but it's very exclusive. You also get Asilia Mara bush houses. Those are more family oriented. Villa in the wilds as well. There's also the Angama Safari Camp, which is a brand new offering from Angama, exclusive use 4 tents in the Mara Triangle. So there are numerous options, again, exclusivity within properties as well, that guests can enjoy. Then you hop on a plane, you go directly to the Kenyan coast, beautiful untouched beaches, incredible water sports, and the perfect relaxation after a long safari. Ooh. Accommodation options on the coast. Alfajiri villas, extremely luxurious, your own private villa, butler, staff, swimming pool, right on the Indian Ocean there. There are also numerous private beachfront villas that are owned by local Kenyans and used as holiday homes, and then these are available fully staffed as your own beach house, basically, for your stay. Almanara luxury villas as well, and there are also some incredible private dhow chartered trips available off Lamu. Moving on to Tanzania, this is the northern circuit with an option for Zanzibar as an addition. Zanzibar is incredible and some beautiful properties there, but let's just run you through that. So straight into Arusha, you charter out, well, Kilimanjaro, charter out straight onto safari to Tarangire and Lake Manyara. There are beautiful concessions surrounding these national parks that do allow for incredible experiences that aren't allowed in the national parks. You'll see here brilliant bushwalks, exclusive sundowners. It's incredible start to a safari. In these areas, I would recommend Forest Chemchem, beautiful tented camp exclusive use, as well as private mobile tented camps. These are set up on request and are available throughout Tanzania. Moving on to Ngorongoro, there are exclusive use properties available in this area. It's important to note that some of them are quite a distance away from the rim in the conservation area below it. So although they offer additional experiences, it can be quite a drive to get into the crater. But again, you get amazing experiences, and the crater floor, beautiful picnics and bush lunches following a game drive in the crater. Accommodation in Ngorongoro, I would say Entomanu Private, very, very beautiful, part of the Nomad collection, as well as private mobile tented camps that can be set up just off the crater. And then exclusivity within properties, you have the farmhouses on Gibbs Farm, stunning farm with beautiful organic gardens and a very, very tranquil experience there. And also Eloana, the manor at Ngorongoro, have a beautiful stable cottage that you can use. Moving on to the Serengeti is very, very lucky with its private use properties. The majority of them are not in Serengeti National Park, but are in concessions surrounding it. So this again allows guests to experience more activities that aren't allowed within the park, such as night game drives, fly camping. Yeah. So moving on to the accommodation, we have beautiful Singita Explore and Singita Serengeti House, two very different offerings, but all by Singita. Singita Explore is a tented camp, while Singita Serengeti House is a very, very beautiful private villa there. You'll see it on the bottom. We also have Nkombe's House Lamai, very traditional safari, but with a flair. It's part of the Nomad collection. If anyone knows Nomad, they do it very, very well. I think they have twins that work in Nkombe's house. It's like being at home on safari. It's a very special experience. And then again, private mobile tented camp that is available in Serengeti. Exclusivity within properties, so there's the Hillside Suite, again, Singita Sasakwa, Lamai Private, which is Lamai Serengeti, Mila Tented, which is in Mwiba, and roving bush tops as well. Now, hopping onto a plane, going straight to Zanzibar or one of the islands there. The Swahili and Arabic culture and heritage in Zanzibar is unrivaled. It's just incredible. I speak fluent Swahili, and I cannot understand a word of their Swahili because it is just pure and just it's an incredible experience. On top of this, they have untouched beaches and exceptional marine life, as well as all of these safari activities. Accommodation in Zanzibar. Zanzibar does have numerous properties with beautiful villas, so there are a lot of properties offering exclusivity in the villa. You are completely separate from all the other guests, have your own entrance, have your own staff, have your own food there, your own swimming pool, and direct access to the beach. So it is basically like your own house on the beach. Exclusive use properties, my personal favorite, Tanda Island. It is a private island off Mafia Island. It's unbelievable. It is anything that you would like to do, they can offer it. Scuba diving, diving with whale sharks, jet skiing, wakeboarding, donutting. They even have a tennis court. It's unreal. There's also Matemwe Beach House on Zanzibar, Unguja Island, the main island, and some incredible private catamaran charters that take you, depending on whether you'd like to stay on the catamaran the whole time, you can do that. They have their own speedboat attached to the catamaran, so you can hop off, go to the islands, go and visit. Or if you aren't too interested on spending the whole time on the catamaran, you can island hop and stay in different accommodations on the different islands there. It's incredible. And they also run with marine biologists on the boat, so they do teach you about all of the marine life and all of the work going towards conserving the marine life around Zanzibar. So it is essentially an extended safari. It's a sea safari, basically. It's a lot of fun. Just on that, we do specialize in tailor-made safaris, and there's nothing more tailor-made than a private safari. So if you do have any questions, please do let me know. And if you are already working with us, your Safari consultant will be your best point of contact, who will know everything and be able to tailor make anything for your guests. Thank you.
All right, awesome. Thanks so much, Kath. And I just want to make sure that you're still on with us, Kath.
Hey.
Hi, thanks so much. We do have a couple of questions that came through. Again, thanks so much for doing this webinar. I know that, the future is unexpected, or nobody knows what to expect in the future. So it's just really hard to, sit down and think about safaris. But, with Kelly and Peacock, we are just trying to make it a whole lot easier on you guys. So, Kath, a couple came through. If you guys have any questions, you can type them through on the GoToWebinar control panel. I know we're just at 30 minutes, but I'd just like to keep Kath on for a few questions that have come through. So if you have any, please type those through so I can get her to answer them. I know that she'll be a lot better at answering them than I will. So let's start with this one. Do the staff mingle with other staff in the evenings on an exclusive property? So, now with post-COVID and social distancing, I'm assuming that a lot of staff are, not as present as they were previously. Kath, do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, sure. So what we're seeing, a lot of the properties, obviously now with the international flight bans and obviously no guests, a lot of the properties have closed. In the build up to them reopening, what the majority of them are doing are getting their staff back in, and they are doing the government regulated 14 days isolation before guests come back. So they will be essentially COVID free. They're all getting tests, but they're also doing self-isolation. So while they do mingle with each other on the properties, between the staff, they will all be COVID free, so it doesn't really matter. And then that's with staff interaction. With regards to guest interaction, it's completely up to what the guest preference is. I mean, some properties you hardly see the staff, but you have everything at your fingertips before you even ask. Other properties, depending on the guests, staff get involved. They play with the kids. They come on safari. Well, they come on like little walks with you around the property and explain things. So it's up to guests.
That's great to know, just because I know some people like for their guide to join them for dinner, or they might want to see another part of the property. So it's whatever makes your guests most comfortable. If they don't want to see another human, then that's certain that can be arranged. But if they, are comfortable with it, of course we can do all of that. So that was a really great question. This is a good question too. What is the latest that a charter flight can leave Nairobi or Arusha to go straight onto Safari and skip that overnight? Do you happen to know?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So basically, the majority of the bush strips, pretty much all of them actually, don't allow for nighttime flying. So if you have a late flight coming in, if it lands and they can take off. Okay, let me start that again. Okay, if you have an international flight, arriving into one of these main airstrips, as long as they can get onto their charter flight and land at the bush strip before nighttime, then it's possible. You just have to bear in mind that if it is too late and the plane can't take off again to return to the main city, you will have to pay additional costs for the pilot accommodation and for the plane to spend an overnight there.
Got it. Because some of those international flights get in quite late in the evening. So yeah, I guess it's all dependent on.
Yeah, I mean, and also what you're doing with that, I mean, if you do have to spend a night in the cities, there are properties that we can recommend that landing late, you'll obviously have less traffic, which is a huge concern in East Africa. But you go straight to the property, you check in, and there's no one around, and you go straight to your private house. I mean, take the Emakoko in the Nairobi National Park, for example. That's straight into a national park. You go straight into, let's say, the private house if you were staying there. Wake up the next morning and then go straight back to the airport.
Perfect. This is a good question, and I know that in some of our previous webinars you have covered the migration. So of course we offer migration-focused safaris, but are you able to do a completely exclusive private migration safari?
Yes, you are. I mean, again, the migration is completely based on rainfall and the grazing for the animals. So we can sort of tell you where it might be, but we can't guarantee that you'll see it. But what you can do is place yourself in the vicinity that the herds are usually in. So let's say you go to the Mara Triangle, Angama Safari Camp for sometime between June and October, so let's say September, and then you can try and position yourself as best as possible. That again is what private guides help with, because they know the areas like the back of their hand, and they're in contact with the majority of other guides in different areas. They'll be able to position you perfectly there. What we do recommend for the migration, if guests have a large budget, is we've had people flying in to say the migration is supposed to be in the north of the Serengeti, but it's in the west. Then they charter a flight to the airstrip where the herds are, spend the day with the herds, and then fly back to their accommodation. So that's also another option, again, depending on budget.
Yeah. And here is the question that several people want to know. When will Kenya and Tanzania open for international travel?
That's a question I would love to know. No, I'm joking.
I wish I had a crystal ball.
Yeah, hopefully soon. Actually, Tanzania has opened. We've seen numerous international airlines resuming flights to Dar es Salaam, Zanzibar, and Kilimanjaro, as well as a few lodges opening as well. Obviously, following strict COVID protocol cleaning and all of that, and social distancing. But there is no quarantine for arrivals into Tanzania, so guests are just temperature checked, and then they're free to go on to our safari. Kenya, on the other hand, we are still locked down. We have, well, not really locked down. Things are carrying on, but we're just under curfew, and movement into and out of certain counties is restricted, as well as international flights being banned. But we are waiting to hear from our president on the 6th of July regarding hopefully lifting lockdown. But the safaris, the wildlife is flourishing, and we are all raring to get everyone back here and out on safari.
I definitely am ready to go now. If anyone has any other questions, type them through, but I am going to take this question. Kath, does Kelly and Peacock have a list of private guides? I know that a lot of people want to know about certain, you know, accreditations and stuff like that. So can you comment on that at all?
Yes, absolutely. We do have a list of private guides that we use. They're all accredited, and they all have their own specialities. So we have numerous photographic guides that we can recommend if your guests are keen photographers. We have guides that are keen on reptiles. So if you if you would like to focus on reptiles during your safari, you can do that. We have walking guides, and they're all accredited, and they all have fantastic bios and loads of experience. So we can definitely recommend them.
Awesome. Well, if I didn't get to your question, just know that we will be emailing those through to you. I have Kath fill out a sheet that I provide in our follow-up. A lot of you joined the webinar a little bit late, so don't worry. I send out a recording. If I can, I will send that out tomorrow or next week latest. But if you go to the Emerging Destinations homepage and under our webinar section, Kath will be focusing on the northern and southern Tanzania circuits in the coming weeks. So we've pretty much covered all of Kenya. You can view that in our webinar library, but join us in the coming weeks for the Tanzania's northern and southern circuit. Other than that, thanks so much for joining us. Kath, thanks for staying up late as always. And we hope to have you guys on a future webinar.
Thanks.